Okay, let's talk tournament builds. Someone asked for a build video of my tournament builds, and I was like, maybe. And now I say, why not? So let's take a peek at the two builds I run, and a little extra from another tournament that I've played. So in the 1 week tournament, I run a laser tank and a quadruple shotgun heavyweight. This is the state of the meta. So let's check the tank first. What makes this so quote-unquote unique is that it has a energy amp generator. Your generator influences how much damage your energy weapons do. And the common thread with all of these builds is that they are made to make the game as brain dead as possible. These are the builds that you don't need to think to win. The more complex a build is, the more failure points it will have. And since in the tournament I was also streaming, I was also putting in the matches, I was running the bracket, I didn't want to think at all. So I made the most brain dead builds possible in order to run them. And I will I think I opened most of the matches with this build specifically. So the main thing you need to know about this build is that it's made for complete damage. With this, you don't really need a stagger to deal your damage. I've seen people online complaining that lasers lack damage, and I don't know what game they're playing. Because, I don't know, dude. Doing 1k per hit, it's unbelievably strong. That's 4k in a single volley. This thing just annihilates you. You don't even need to stagger people with it. And it's basically built to just win damage races against Zimmermans, which were, you know, the current terror of the meta. Even though I think they're fine. They need to be toned down a little bit with the stagger and those the 200% or 205% direct hit adjustment, but other than that, they're fine. And this thing basically eats them alive. If you're fighting a brain dead Zimmerman player, this thing would just out damage them the entire day. Like, as long as you keep hitting your hits, you just move around people and you just destroy them. If they ever get a stagger, you just win. This thing can actually stagger people despite using all lasers. So it's a very strong candidate for anti-meta like build. People really sleep on these lasers. They're really strong. Yeah, I don't know what else is there to say about this build. It's just made to be brain dead. The only thing you have to manage is, of course, your energy, because the generator you're using is not that good of a generator in comparison to stuff like Sun-type, for example, which is better in every way, basically. It's even lighter. The only reason you can run Sun-type is because it doesn't have enough output to use all 4 lasers, and it also nerfs your damage with them. And I don't use Coral because that recharge delay is huge. You're gonna be out of energy forever. 4.2 seconds for me is unacceptable, especially on a tournament. So there you go, that's the first build. I'll put the build codes in the description if you want to check them out. And again, the connecting thread with all of these builds is that they are made to be as brain dead as possible. These are like the least brain power required in order to get a win. However, there is one negative of this build, and is that people can outrun you very easily. Most of the stuff that will outrun you will die instantly if you ever catch up to them, but that's a big if. You still have to get to them, and this build is not very good at getting places. So for that, I had this other build. This is a quadruple shotgun heavyweight. The entire existence of this build is to just chase the stuff that will otherwise outrun the tank. And this will usually be the second build I will bring in a match. I will start with the laser tank, and then I will switch to this. And this is my counter pick to whatever could counter pick the tank. And in that case, in the tournament, it was a tournament winner actually that killed it, because that you can really do anything against that missile boat because it would just outrun you forever. This can actually compete with the missile boat. I still lost it because you make one mistake and you're fucked. But this can go pretty even. I'd say that for that specific matchup, you need to change the shotguns for missiles. But other than that, you can keep the four shotguns installed. So why is this strong? Well, it's because you're basically shooting shotguns non-stop the entire time. You shoot Simis, Haldemans, and then you go for a kick. Simis, Haldeman, kick, and then shotgun, and then that's it. That's all you need to do. You're basically devolving the game into being as anga-bunga as possible. Kick, use a stagger, switch to that, kick, so on and so forth. People can really get away from you very easily because they are relatively the same speed, if not slower than you most of the time. You basically just follow them. Backpedaling is basically impossible in this game. If you want to run away from people, you have to use assault boost, and that's the exact same tool that people will use against you in order to close in. So it's not very efficient. And, you know, they will still hit you while you're running away. So yeah, there you go. This is how you make the game as stupid as possible. No brain cells required. You just go at them, shoot again, kick. Now you can run this with the coral generator as well. I don't personally like it. The coral generator has few advantages over the Santai that I think are very worth considering. And is that they basically perform the same, but the coral generator gets its energy in a different way. You get your energy by running your generator dry and then getting it back that way. And you basically get your entire bar back. The key takeaway from here is that if you notice, you will get most of your energy before you touch the ground, assuming you do it properly. Well, I guess it's not working either way. The ceiling is not big enough for it to happen, but you will get most of your energy in the air, something that the Santai does not do. The Santai does not get its energy. I mean, it doesn't get the generator filled in midair. It only gets a tiny chunk. You can, in theory, fly forever with this, but you're gonna be flying on that tiny little energy pocket you get. It's not enough to go very far, but it's just enough to get a pickup. So if you run out of energy in front of someone and you're already in and they can't get out of you or away from you, you can just continually kick them, be in their face the entire time. And if you ever have enough time to recharge, you just go back to the ground and then you get your energy back. The other thing about this generator is that its recharge delay is quick enough so that if I quick boost, I get the entire bar before I quick boost again, if I spam it. This is very useful because if you're long range, you always want to have your bar filled so that you can like then assault boost into them. So if you're at range, you're just evading stuff, You're basically energy equal or energy positive. And this allows you to maintain your bar while also being evasive against long range attacks. And then you just go in there and attack with the assault boost. The other thing you should consider, and it's very annoying, I hope they fix it, is that our core has always had this thing where your projectiles always come out of the barrel, and this is to a fault because you can run into situations where this happens. With this build, you want to be as close as possible to people, but if you're point blank, you may end up just shooting at them. This is the one thing you should keep in mind when playing a build like this. This is like the one thing that actually requires brain power. That's why I usually tend to kick first, because kicking will create a little bit of separation, and that will prevent your shotguns from just overshooting. Either do that or just back away a little bit. And last but not least is the build I used to win the Jump the Wall event, which was a tournament that happened before the Week 1 tournament. And when I joined that tournament, I think I joined last minute? No, I didn't. I joined like very early on when it was announced. But I didn't know that you could not swap your build. You could not swap your build throughout the entire tournament. You were locked into whatever you played. So I threw this together relatively quick, which is a build that can theoretically fight anything. I think it's outdated. It doesn't hold up to the meta anymore. What the fuck? You can do that? I had no idea. And it has some flaws. It's not built properly. For starters, it has a non-energy weapon compatible generator with a laser rifle. This makes it deal significantly less damage than it should. Actually, I don't know how significant it is, but you deal less damage. Like this is 451 versus yeah, 547. You basically lose like almost 100 damage. On top of that, Santai has a very bad compatibility with charged weapons. So you see how fast my energy regens? Relatively fast, pretty good. If you're holding a charge, it gets reduced by a lot. And this is even worse in the air. In the ground, it's not that big of a deal, but in the air, it's significant. Like, it's already slow in the air because of how the generator works, but with the charge on, it's even worse. So yeah, basically this build just zones you out. It has the missiles, it has the verticals, which are very strong. Probably, it combines basically two of the strongest missiles in the game with two of the stronger, like, poken weapons in the game. It's strong, but not meta strong. A quad with two Zimmermans will just look at you and laugh, basically. So, there you go. I'll post this one as well. I don't think it's as strong, but since the topic of today is tournament builds, this is technically a tournament build. Not only that, but it's a tournament winner. So there you go. I will now leave you with some sets playing all three builds. For the other two, I'm gonna have sets against Phantasmar, who is a relatively strong player as well. He's for sure stronger than every random player you're gonna fight. Not only that, but I commit so many mistakes in those fights, like a lot of mistakes, and you will see me like play absolutely brain dead and get punished a lot. But because these builds are also intended to be brain dead, then I don't get punished as hard as I should have, and I end up winning a lot of those sets. As for this one, I'm gonna show you the one match I did record from that event because I forgot to press the record key when I was fighting, so I don't have footage of all of the fights I had in that tournament except for the first one I had, and that's what I'm gonna leave you with on this build. So there you go. The build codes are gonna be in the description. Now enjoy the fights.